There are moments in time when the veil is thinner, when God gives glimpses, not to stir fear, but to awaken hearts. July is not just another month. It is a passage, a threshold, a gate that separates what was from what is coming. And when God shows you something about the final days of a month, it is not about a date. It is about destiny. In prayer I was still, and in that stillness I sensed the weight of something greater. July's final days carry a warning, but also a promise. A divine whisper that says, prepare, not in panic, not in dread, but in purpose, because every ending births a new beginning, and the final days of a season determine the foundation of the next. God showed me that in these last days of July, alignments will shift. Some things that were once hidden will be revealed. There will be doors closing, not to harm you, but to protect you, because not every door is meant for your entry. Not every opportunity is from the hand of heaven. Some are traps dressed as blessings. That's why discernment is your greatest defense now. He also showed me that many are distracted, busy chasing noise while heaven is speaking softly. July's final days are a time to come away, to shut the door, to go into the secret place. Not just to ask for things, but to listen. To tune your spirit to the frequency of heaven, because God is not silent. He is selective with what he reveals and to whom he reveals it. In the Spirit I saw burdens being lifted, not all at once, but piece by piece, chains falling, not through effort, but through surrender, because some of the things you've been carrying God never asked you to hold. These last days are a time to release, to let go, to cleanse your life of what cannot come with you into August. Let July's end be your personal exodus. Let it be the time you left behind fear, shame, regret, and compromise. God showed me that July is not ending. It is culminating. Every moment, every trial, every test was leading to this stretch of days, and how you close this chapter matters, not in the eyes of man, but in the plans of heaven. Don't let July fade without consecrating it. Don't stumble into August the same way you began this month. Stand in the middle of this divine threshold and declare, I will finish strong, because the way you finish is the way you begin. So rise up, seek him with urgency, walk with boldness, pray like it matters, because it does. July's final days are not just a countdown on a calendar, they are a spiritual checkpoint. And if you quiet the noise, if you bow your heart, he will show you what comes next. There are moments in time that carry a weight far beyond what the calendar suggests. The final days of July are not just the conclusion of a month. They serve as a divine threshold, a point of transition where the spiritual realm becomes especially active. During this period, many feel a stirring in their soul, an inexplicable sense that something is shifting beneath the surface of everyday life. It's not just about dates or seasons. It's about moments that God uses to reveal hidden things, to awaken his people, and to prepare hearts for what's coming next. These days, often overlooked by the world, become sacred windows through which divine instruction, warning, and encouragement are poured out. There's something powerful about endings. They hold the weight of everything that has been and the potential of everything that could be. And in these moments, when July is drawing to a close, God often speaks in whispers that feel like thunder to those who are listening. He doesn't always announce his intentions with fireworks. Sometimes he moves in silence, allowing the attentive soul to feel the urgency of change and the gravity of decisions that must be made before a new season begins. These are not just closing hours of a month. They are spiritual appointments. In this divine window, many begin to feel the need to slow down and reflect. It's as if heaven is nudging hearts to consider where they've been and where they are going. There's a holy tension, part reflection, part anticipation. The final days of July often bring divine insights not available in other seasons. This is when God begins to uncover things that were once hidden, drawing attention to areas that require change or faith or surrender. Sometimes he uses these days to reveal warnings. Stop here, don't proceed, turn around. At other times, he reveals opportunities. Walk through this door, speak this word, take this risk. These revelations are rarely loud. They're not shouted through media or displayed on signs. They are quiet truths whispered into the spirit of the one willing to listen. the one who shuts off the noise, who silences the distractions, and who turns inward in prayer and reflection. Those who are sensitive to the Spirit know these are not days to be wasted or filled with busyness. They are days for spiritual alertness, for consecration, for preparation. The weight of what's to come is often hidden in the quiet before it arrives. The end of July is not the time to coast or sleep. It's the time to watch, pray, and listen. It's when God often prepares His people for what lies ahead. And while the world may not understand the significance of these final days, those tuned to the rhythm of heaven know, when the calendar closes a chapter, heaven may be opening a new one. The final days of July are not just the end of something, they may very well be the beginning of everything. In moments of divine urgency, the soul is often called to awaken from its slumber. There is a spiritual restlessness that begins to stir deep within, not driven by fear or anxiety, but by a quiet insistence that something significant is unfolding. This inner awakening doesn't come by accident. It is intentional, divinely orchestrated, and personal. The heart begins to recognize that time is not just moving forward in the natural world, but something deeper is shifting in the spiritual realm. This awakening is a sacred invitation to rise, to see more clearly, and to live with a sense of divine purpose. The call to awaken isn't always dramatic. Often it comes through subtle disruptions, restless nights, unusual dreams, a growing discomfort with things that once seemed normal. These nudges are not coincidences. They are whispers from the unseen, drawing attention to the fact that life must no longer be lived on autopilot. When this divine stirring begins, it's because there is something vital that must be done, something that cannot wait for a more convenient moment. A soul that remains asleep in such a time will miss what has been appointed for it. To ignore this call is to remain in darkness, unaware of the light that is breaking through. Responding to this stirring requires humility and courage. It means letting go of distractions, shutting off the noise, and seeking clarity in the quiet. The soul begins to crave solitude, not out of sadness, but out of reverence for what is being revealed. There's a longing to pray deeper, listen more intently, and seek alignment with something greater than the self. This hunger is a sign that transformation is not only possible, but imminent. The spiritual eyes begin to open, and what once seemed distant now feels urgent and alive. This awakening is not meant to be temporary. It is meant to initiate a permanent shift in the way life is lived. Old priorities are questioned. Shallow routines are disrupted. The heart begins to beat for eternal things, truth, righteousness, and purpose. The awakened soul begins to see through the illusions that once held it captive. It sees the masks people wear, the empty pursuits that promise fulfillment but deliver emptiness. And in that clarity, the soul turns away from those things and begins to walk a higher path. Those who embrace this spiritual awakening are not guaranteed an easy journey, but they are promised clarity. They begin to walk with intentionality, guided by wisdom rather than emotion. This new vision becomes the lens through which every choice is made. There's no turning back once the eyes have seen, once the heart has been stirred by a truth too strong to ignore. Awakening is not just the beginning of change, it is the very foundation of it. And those who choose to stay awake will be the ones ready when the next chapter is revealed. They will not be caught off guard, for they answered when the Spirit called. There comes a moment when the soul must decide whether it will continue being shaped by the noise of the world, or by the still, unchanging truths that echo through time. That moment demands clarity and conviction. Discernment is the gift that separates illusion from truth, impulse from wisdom, and distraction from destiny. In times of uncertainty, when appearances are deceiving and voices are many, the ability to discern becomes not only valuable, it becomes essential for survival. It is the compass that keeps the spirit from drifting, the light that cuts through the fog of confusion. Discernment begins by quieting the chaos. The world is loud with opinions, pressures, and temptations, each promising a path to happiness or security. But the voice of truth never shouts, it waits in the silence, speaking only when the heart is still enough to listen. This means stepping back from the distractions, turning down the volume of the world, and seeking insight through reflection, prayer, and examination. It's in these moments of stillness that truth becomes clear, not emotional truth based on fear or desire, but a deeper knowing that cannot be shaken. Learning to discern involves sharpening spiritual senses. What feels good is not always good. What looks right is not always righteous. What is popular is not always wise. Discernment requires asking not just what is this, but what spirit is behind this. Many things are wrapped in beauty but carry poison. Many doors swing wide open but lead to destruction. Without discernment, it is easy to be led astray, chasing glitter instead of gold, illusions instead of substance. But with discernment, the heart becomes trained to recognize patterns, to feel a check in the spirit when something is off, even if the mind doesn't fully understand why yet. This gift doesn't develop overnight. It's cultivated through experience, humility, and surrender. Mistakes are part of the process, and every misstep can serve as a lesson to strengthen the spiritual senses. Over time, the soul begins to recognize divine patterns, to sense when something aligns with truth and when it does not. Discernment is like a sword dividing truth from lies, helping navigate both relationships and decisions. It protects against deception, manipulation, and spiritual decay. Discernment is not about judgment, it's about clarity. It's not a weapon to condemn others, but a shield to protect one's own walk. It allows the soul to say no when pressured, to wait when rushed, and to walk away when enticed. And most importantly, it teaches the heart to recognize when the divine is speaking, even through unexpected circumstances. The world will always be filled with voices, promises, and distractions, but the one who learns to discern will not be easily moved. They will walk in peace while others panic, in purpose while others drift. Their path will be narrow, but it will be right. And in that clarity, they will find the strength to endure, the wisdom to lead, and the vision to see what others miss. The final days of any season often carry a weight that goes unnoticed by the hurried heart. But those who pay attention sense a shift, an invisible current that whispers, "Prepare." These are not just the fading days on a calendar. They are windows of decision, moments of alignment, and echoes of eternal timing. In these final days, choices made carry more weight, words spoken leave deeper marks, and silence can thunder with significance. When time narrows, awareness must widen. What seemed ordinary before now demands focus. What was ignored must be confronted. There is a sacred urgency in the final stretch. It is not about fear, it is about awakening. Every ending holds within it the seed of a beginning, and what is sown now determines what will rise later. Complacency becomes dangerous when time is short. It is easy to think I'll change later, or this will pass, but the truth is not all opportunities return, not every door remains open. There is a divine timing that moves like a tide, and when it shifts, those unprepared may find themselves swept away or left behind. Reflection becomes critical. The final days are for asking the deeper questions. Have I walked the path I was meant to walk? Have I held on to things I should have let go of? Have I spoken when I should have listened, or stayed silent when I should have stood up? These are not questions meant to condemn, but to awaken. They pierce through excuses and demand truth. The time for shallow answers is gone. What is needed now is honesty that heals and transforms. There is also grace in these final days. Even as the season closes, there remains a chance to return, to realign, to respond. This is the mercy of divine timing. It waits just long enough to see if we will wake up. But grace is not permission to delay. It is a window to act. The heart that senses the urgency must not wait for validation from others. It must move with resolve even if misunderstood. Often, the greatest moments of transformation happen quietly in the hidden places while the world carries on unaware. Preparation is not panic, it is clarity. It is building what matters, letting go of distractions, and anchoring deeply in what lasts. As the days draw to a close, it's not just about watching for what happens next. It's about becoming who we must be when it does. These are the days to strengthen what remains, to light the lamps, to be found ready. Because when the final day arrives, it will not ask what we hoped for. It will reveal what we chose. And those who discern the signs and act with wisdom will not be shaken by what changes. They will rise with it. The final days are not the end of the story. They are the moment where destiny makes its final turn. The conclusion of this speech reminds us that time is not just a number, it is a calling. The final days of any season, especially one marked with spiritual significance, are not meant to be feared but to be honored. They serve as a divine alarm clock, urging us to awaken from distractions and align our lives with what truly matters. It is a call to reflect deeply, act courageously, and prepare spiritually. Those who listen will not be caught off guard, but will rise with clarity, purpose, and strength. In the end, it is not about predicting what will happen. It's about becoming the person ready for whatever comes.